call the meeting to order. This is the meeting of the Tennessee Fish and Wildlife Commission, the commission meeting, as well as addressing some matters that were carried over yesterday from committee meetings. It's Friday, September 28, 2012. My name's William L. Brown, and I'm chairman of the commission. At this time, we will ask Commissioner Clayton Stout to give the invocation.
Let us pray. Lord, as we get up this morning, help us to be grateful that we can walk and we can talk and we can do all these things in this great earth that you created, when there's so many people who are less fortunate than us that are looking for jobs, who aren't healthy. We just keep us mindful of the blessings that you give us, even the small blessings, just the ability to be here and to work for you and to be a resource for your great creation of earth. Lord, we pray for the safety of our hunters and our fishermen. Be with them and their families as they're out there in the woods enjoying your creation. We ask you to be with our officers that are out there enforcing the laws that we have here. Protect them. Lord, we thank you for the commissioners that are up here and the service that they give in their time. We thank you for so many blessings, Lord. Lord, we ask you also just to be with our men and women who are continuing to fight for our freedom in faraway countries. Put your hand of grace over them, protect them, bring them back safely to their families. Lord, we ask you to be with our state and to be with our country, that you give us leaders that are righteous, that seek you, and give them wisdom to move our country forward in your way and your rules. Lord, thank you for all your blessings. Be with everyone here who's here, and be with them as they go their separate ways, protect their travels. And we just praise you for this beautiful day and all that you give us here in this great country and this great state. Through Jesus Christ our Lord, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, at this time, I'll ask Ms. Hayes to call the roll.
Jim Bledsoe.
Here.
Jim Bledsoe is present. William Brown.
Here.
William Brown is present. Harold Cannon.
Here.
Harold Cannon is present. Bill Cox.
Here.
Bill Cox is present. Jeff Griggs. Jeff Griggs is present. Jeff McMillan.
Here.
Jeff McMillan is present. Tom Rice.
Here.
Tom Rice is present. Jim Ripley.
Here.
Jim Ripley is present. Julie Schuster.
Here.
Julie Schuster is present. Clayton Stout. Clayton Stout is present. James Stroud. James Stroud is present. Trey Teague.
Present.
Trey Teague is present. Jamie Woodson. Jamie Woodson is not present.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion that the minutes of the last month's meeting be approved?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. All right, the motion carries. We carried over yesterday because of the time constraint. The Budget Committee, Commissioner Schuster, and also dealing with the budget expansion and the real estate report. And in the interest of time this morning, since there are other matters to be taken up after the commission meeting, we're going to just fold those in with the regular the commission meeting this morning and have any discussions that need to be addressed on those matters. For the benefit of the audience, if you're here to address the commission on a matter, if you would, at the time the subject matter about which you're here is being discussed, then you may address the commission at the appropriate time. We will ask if there's anyone from the audience that wants to make any comments. If so, please come to the microphone in the center of the room, identify yourself, and state your purpose for being here. Also, there will be a sign-up sheet that will be a tablet that will be passed throughout the commission room. If you would, please sign your name, and if you're here representing any particular organization, put down who you represent. All right, at this time, I'm going to call on Director Carter to introduce a guest who is here bearing gifts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The agency has had a long-standing partnership with Safari Club International, and as the name implies, it is an international organization, but the chapters in Tennessee have been really great to support many of our programs. The Shikar Safari Award that is presented every year by the Safari Club to the Outstanding Officer of the Year will happen sometime later on in this year, so we'll be back with that. But this morning, Bill Swan, who hails from Sequatchie County and is part of one of the more active parts, the southeast part of Tennessee, for whatever reason, has been very active in the Safari Club and their chapters, and have supported with projects, with donations over the years to different things our enforcement officers have done, to some of the things on our wildlife management areas. And today, Bill comes with kind of a different connotation to some of the things that they've done over the years. This is specifically on wildlife management. Bill's active, obviously, in that particular chapter of Safari Club, but has also been a great supporter of the agency in many ways over the years, and we certainly appreciate him. So, Bill, thank you for being here.
In addition to the check that I brought today, our chapter, along with the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency officers in Southeast Tennessee, are sponsoring a wounded warrior hunt for 25 warriors at the Enterprise South facility on October 22nd and 23rd of this year. It's going to be quite an event for us. We had a planning meeting with the officers, but we're feeding all of them. We're going to give away a pheasant hunt to South Dakota to one of them, giving away a rifle. And we're responsible for getting them all out in the woods. They've never been there before. We've never hunted at Enterprise South because it's where the Volkswagen facility is. But we've got 5 guys, and those 5 guys will be responsible for 5 warriors to take them out and bring them back in. That's our most recent project. But today I'm bringing another $4,000 for the elk restoration program. This is a joint sponsorship between our chapter and the Safari Club Foundation. They provide us matching funds, so we're providing $2,000. The Safari Club Foundation is providing another $2,000, and this will bring to date a total of $16,000 that our chapter has provided the elk restoration project. Ed, you want to come up and get the check?
Somebody may identify me.
Steve, I didn't see you, buddy.
I didn't see you either. I was looking for you, but.
He's kind of my in-law, brother-in-law.
I wouldn't have said that.
Thank you, Bill. And Vicki, thank you for being here, too. And,
My wife's here with me.
I was
I was going to mention that, that's what keeps him going.
well, and with Steve, before you head out, the reason I asked Steve to come in for commissioners that may not know Steve. Steve used to be a law enforcement supervisor up in East Tennessee when the elk program first started. He decided that he wanted to be the person that shepherded that through, so along with other wildlife biologists in Region 4, Steve became essentially our elk biologist and has been in that program ever since its inception. So that's the reason I asked Steve to come up and be a part of this, because he knows those elk personally. So, thanks again, Bill. Appreciate it very much.
Vicki, don't slip out now. This is Bill's wife, Vicki Swan. Thank you. Bill's been a friend of the agency in many, many ways and has supported the commission as well as the agency over many years. He and I went to college together, and I'm sure you could have got pretty good odds in Vegas that neither one of us were going to get out back at that time. But thanks a lot for their. What did he say?
He said you were a lot older than me.
Oh, that's for sure. Yeah, took me longer. Okay, at this time, we're going to go to the Wildlife Management Committee. Commissioner Teague.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Wildlife Management Committee has 2 items of business today. The first is a rule amendment to bring before the commission.
All right. Let me make this announcement. This is a rulemaking hearing before the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Commission to consider amending Rule 1660-01-28, which deals with rules and regulations governing license and permit fees. And I will correct that. This is the Tennessee Fish and Wildlife Commission at this time. So we want to make that correction in the rule. My name's William Brown, and I will conduct the hearing. The order of the proceedings are as follows. Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency staff will present information on the proposed rule amendment. Commission members will be permitted to comment and ask questions. Members of the audience will be permitted to comment and ask questions. Staff members and members of the audience wishing to speak should identify themselves before speaking. I reserve the right to limit comments and discussion, especially in cases of repetition. Mr. Radajak.
Thank you, Commission. I'm Darrell Radajak. I'm the Chief of Wildlife for the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency, and I will be presenting the amendment to the rule, which is Rule 1660-01-28. The title of the chapter of this section is Rules and Regulations Governing Licenses, Permits, and Fees. And the primary justification for the proposed amendment is to add 2 new license types as a result of legislation passed in the last session of the General Assembly. Literally, all we intend to do is to insert language to add these 2 new license types. The first license type that we'd like to add will be type 168, which is a resident annual sport combination hunting and fishing license for the certified physically and mentally disabled, and this is for those under the age of 18. This license type will be a $5 charge, and according to the notation there, it shall be noted on the license that this hunter is disabled. The second license type that we'd like to add to this rule is a type 169, which is a resident permanent sport combination hunt and fishing license, and this is for the certified intellectually disabled, and this would come at a fee of $10 for that individual. Now, if it pleases the Commission, I could go into more detail of what is defined by TCA as far as being disabled in this case, but if you don't want to go into that much detail, I could ask for any questions right now. I'll have to unhide my slides now. The type 168, again, it's the resident annual combination hunting and fishing license for the certified physically and mentally disabled. This license is for individuals that are under the age of 18 and are certified by a physician as physically or mentally disabled. And the type 168 license must state on the license that the individual is disabled. Now, as used in this subsection, disabled means the inability to engage in any substantial gainful activity by reason of any medically determinable physical or mental impairment that is certified by a licensed physician. This means that the condition must be both totally and permanently disabling. The director shall accept as evidence for the purpose of this subsection E a certificate from a physician licensed to practice medicine in this state, certifying that the applicant meets the requirements of this subsection with reference to being disabled. This annual license fee, again, is $5 and will only be sold at the regional and Nashville offices. Now, for the Type 169, which is a resident permanent sport hunting and fishing license for the certified intellectually disabled. This license is for individuals who are over the age of 10 years old and are certified by a physician as a person who has intellectual disabilities as defined by TCA 33-1-101. Now, what that code states is that intellectual disability means for the purpose of general functions of the Department of, as set forth in TCA 4-3-270, as shown by significantly sub-average intellectual functioning that exists concurrently with related limitations in 2 or more of the following adaptive skill areas: communication, self-care, home living, social skills, community use, self-direction, health and safety, functional academics, leisure, and work, and that they are manifested before 18 years of age. Mental retardation means until March 1, 2002, significantly sub-average general intellectual functioning existing concurrently with deficits in adaptive behavior that are manifested during the developmental period. And references to mental retardation in this title shall be deemed to be references to intellectual disability. Okay.
Darrell, you did say that participants in this had to take a hunter safety course. They didn't have to pass it, but
Actually,
they did have to take it.
If you don't mind, let me, the one thing that would have been next that I read. This person shall be, or must be accompanied by an adult at least 25 years of age or older who is hunter education certified and licensed to hunt. The person shall be required to complete the hunter education course as provided in TCA 70-2-108 in the presence of a licensed adult, but shall not be required to attain a particular score on the course examination or take the course more than once. As used in this subdivision, unless the context otherwise requires accompanied, means the licensed adult shall supervise no more than one person with intellectual disabilities at any one time and shall be able to take immediate control of the hunting device. I do have a personal story regarding this. When I hired on with the agency, I was a hunter ed instructor in West Tennessee. I operated a hunter education facility. And it just so happens that the Safari Club approached us, and they had a group of mentally challenged individuals, handicapped individuals that they wanted to take on a hunt in Tennessee. But they were required to pass the hunter education course. And by law, they could not hunt until they passed that hunter education course. And we worked with them, my technician and I worked with them. What normally is a 10-hour course was closer to a 40-hour course because we had to go over and over with these students until they're able to receive a passing score. And it was the most rewarding experience, but this rule would get around that. As long as those individuals would be supervised, they would not have to receive that passing score in order to hunt.
Do I hear a motion that the rule pass?
Move for approval.
Second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
Could I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Of our attorney? Just for my information, because I've forgotten, in a rule-making hearing like this, can this be amended, added, or deleted or something by the commission while we're going through this process?
It can, but if it's amended to any amount of substance, it has to go back, it has to be refiled, another rulemaking hearing has to be.
Re-advertised, okay.
Right. And in this particular case, pretty much everything Darrell has presented is right here in the TCA, so there's really not much room for change anyway. That's normally not the case, but that's the case today.
Anything further?
I've got one question.
All right.
It seems like there's a little bit of overlap in those two licenses. How does a parent go about this? Will y'all help them decide where their child what category or which license?
All the parent would have to do is call our agency, and we would direct them as to what's the most appropriate license for them to purchase.
Thank you.
I would assume also that the physician would state the type of disability. Okay, any further discussion? Excuse me, Tom.
Do we have any idea how many
license like this will be sold? What kind of need is there out there?
I don't believe there would be a great demand, but this allows us, for the few individuals that would require such a license, that we have the ability to issue that type of license, but it will not be a tremendous demand for it.
Thank you.
Anything further? All right, this calls for a roll call vote, so Ms. Hayes, will you call a roll, please?
Jim Bledsoe,
Yes.
William Brown,
Yes.
Harold Cannon,
Yes.
Bill Cox,
Aye.
Jeff Griggs, Jeff McMillan, Tom Rice, Jim Ripley,
Yes.
Julie Schuster,
Yes.
Clayton Stout, James Stroud, Trey Teague,
The vote is unanimous. Thank you, Darrell, for that presentation. And then Commissioner Teague, you want to continue with your part of the
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
program?
Next item of business is to honor 3 of our employees who have been selected as either Wildlife Biologist of the Year or Wildlife Technician of the Year.
Thank you, Commissioner. I personally have been so looking forward to this moment. Oftentimes, it's myself or some of my coordinator, the biologists that work in the Nashville office, that come before the commission to present the great work that our agency does. But once a year, we get together and select those individuals that truly make a difference within the agency. These are folks on the ground, either working in a county or in a WMA, that truly are responsible for the great work that our agency does. And what I'm here today to do is to present the awards for the 2012 Technician of the Year Award, and we're going to present 2 awards for the Biologist of the Year. We're going to present the 2011 and the 2012. The reason we're doing both is I was a new Chief of Wildlife last year, and it was one of those things where I was supposed to do what? And I forgot to give the 2011 award. And so everyone was in agreement that we should give both awards this year. And it's my honor and privilege to speak about these individuals, because they truly are what this agency is all about. The first award we'd like to give out will be the Wildlife Technician of the Year for 2012. The winner of this year's award is Tony Hickel. He is supervised by John Mike, and we'll call them up shortly, but I want to read a little bit about Mr. Hickel, just so you understand why he was selected for such an award. And this information was provided by a supervisor. Tony Hickel is an outstanding employee. Tony's title in Region 4 is Wildlife Technician 2. His primary workstation is Buffalo Springs WMA, and he has been employed by TWRC since 1990. He regularly receives high ratings on his performance evaluations and normally exceeds the expectations outlined in his job plan. Tony maintains his commercial driver's license, chemical applicators certification, and boating safety education certification. He is always eager to assist and train other employees in his field of expertise. Due to his expertise, Tony is vital in collecting wildlife data throughout the region. He routinely assists trapping and banding wood ducks at Kiker Bottoms Refuge and Lick Creek WMA. He also traps and bands mourning doves on his farm in Jefferson County. He is instrumental in collecting big game data across Region 4, and he normally assists with thermal deer surveys and always works a county big game check station during the bear and whitetail deer seasons. Tony also assists in manning Chuck Swan WMA check stations during the whitetail deer hunts and turkey hunts each year. Due to his knowledge of big game data collection, Tony has been essential in assisting with CWD monitoring in Region 4 by collecting brain stems from whitetail deer, elk, and recently during the Claiborne County red deer hunt. Tony also assists in measuring big game animals and is a certified Boone and Crockett scorer. He is a certified hunter education instructor and routinely assists wildlife officers with their classes. In addition to assisting the wildlife officers with hunter safety, Tony personally teaches a class in Jefferson County each year. His latest class resulted in the certification of 67 students. In addition, Tony habitually assists whenever possible in any public program and assists each year with Appalachian Fair at Gray Station. And this is the primary reason why Tony was selected for the 2012 award. Among Tony's many talents is being a certified welder, which has been of extreme benefit to TWRA. The most recent problem facing the agency, in which his talent has been invaluable, is trapping of wild hogs. The most effective hog gate available at one time was a contracted trap door, which was costing the agency approximately $700 per door system. Part of the Region 4 Wildlife Division, which included Tony, Scott Dykes, Dustin McCubbins, and Wayne Ellison, took it upon themselves to design a more efficient, effective, and less cost-prohibitive trap door system. Due to Tony's knowledge of metal fabrication and engineering, the group has produced a more reliable trap door that is easier and faster to set up than the previously purchased contracted door. A major flaw of the contracted door is that it cannot be used in uneven, mountainous terrain without extensive excavation of soil around the trap door area. The door has to be completely level and square to the ground before it will drop properly. The Region 4 trap door, due to its design, can be used in any terrain and will drop even if it's not level or square to the ground. In addition to being more reliable and effective due to Tony's knowledge of metal products, the cost to produce each gate is approximately $275, which is substantially less than the previously purchased doors. The Region 4 trap door was designed in part by Tony and has proved invaluable to the region. The new trap door has resulted in the capture of almost 150 hogs to date. Due to its proven effectiveness, the Region 4 trap door is being used by both Regions 2 and 3 to eliminate hogs. Recently, in addition to the hog gates, Tony's been working with David Sams to produce a new wood duck trap gate that can be used to trap wood ducks at Lick Creek WMA. In addition to all of Tony's extracurricular responsibility, he also maintains the facilities and produces excellent wildlife habitat at Buffalo Springs WMA. Presently, he plants and maintains 17 acres of sunflowers, popcorn, buckwheat, and corn primarily for doves, which was utilized by 50 hunters and resulted in a harvest of 135 doves on opening day last year. In conclusion, Tony is an exceptional employee and representative of TWRA, both on and off the job. He is a highly versatile and talented person. The agency is extremely fortunate and blessed to have him in the ranks of our employees, and he is very worthy of being named Wildlife Technician of the Year, and so that is why he has been. If I could call up Tony Hickel and his supervisor.
They've earned that award too.
Yes, I believe Pete Wyatt wrote that, so Pete gets an award for the writing of it. Oh, no, that's right, I'm sorry, John Mike wrote that. Wait till you hear.
It sounded awfully good.
Wait till you hear Pete's. For time purposes,
Well done.
I'll do both the 2011 and 2012 and call them up together. So I'll read both of these. The Wildlife Biologist of the Year award for 2011 goes to Scott Dykes, and his supervisor is Mr. Pete Wyatt. And here's what Pete wrote about Scott. Scott began his career at TWRA as a wildlife manager in June 2004 and was promoted to the Region 4 non-game conservation planner in June of 2007. Scott was recently promoted to Wildlife Manager 3 in April of 2012. His duties now include non-game endangered species coordination, conservation planner, falconry, coordination of the North Cumberland Habitat Conservation Plan, and regional wild hog coordinator. Scott supervises 2 wildlife manager positions. Scott's conservation planning initiatives include coordination with state and federal regulatory agencies, habitat, terrestrial, and aquatic life investigations, and research with numerous colleges and universities within Tennessee and outside. He He is nationally recognized for his warm season grass work, innovative cool season conservation practices, wildlife education activities, including creating educational posters, and is an active member of the Tennessee chapter of the Wildlife Society and the Tennessee Herpetological Society. Scott's tireless efforts to manage high-elevation early successional habitat for greatest conservation needs species at Hampton Creek State Natural Area has resulted in abatement of siltation in a brook trout stream and improved habitat for golden wing warblers. Research indications are showing increase in territories of breeding males of that species. Scott's work has added to the knowledge and range of the Appalachian cottontail, least weasel, star-nosed mole, hoary bat, silver-haired bat, and southern bog lemming. His input and guidance is likewise responsible for master's graduate students pursuing studies at Tennessee Technological University, East Tennessee State University, and one PhD graduate at East Carolina University who is now working as a postdoc at the University of Montana on salamander diversity. Scott's nationally recognized Snakes of East Tennessee education poster provides valuable information to educators about the understanding and conservation of these diverse reptiles. This poster fills a void that has been a long time coming and is extremely popular with all ages and audiences. It is distributed throughout the state and beyond our borders. Scott's cave protection efforts are recognized statewide, including those caves at Chuck Swan, Kyles Ford, and Pearson Cave. Scott's work at Chuck Swan WMA and State Forest has resulted in Tennessee Division of Forestry to adopt new management policies regarding travel corridors for the endangered graybat cave entrances. Most recently, Scott has presented a poster at 4 national meetings. His poster on mammal biodiversity and hot springs was shown at Virginia Polytechnic University at Blacksburg, Virginia, at the Southeastern Mammal Colloquium, Northeast Bat Working Group, and the Southeastern Bat Diversity Network, when they held a joint meeting there. He was invited to show his poster at the Southwestern Association of Naturalists annual meeting at the University of Memphis. Always willing to assist with agency projects, Scott has developed 2 major educational displays at the Region 4 office. Scott designed and built a freshwater mussel exhibit, which provides shells of freshwater mussels of local rivers that provide the public with an opportunity to view the beauty and help with understanding of the ecology and conservation of common species and those state and federally listed species. He has provided approximately 50 acres of additional public dove fields, which have yielded some of the highest bird per hunter ratio in the region. His quail habitat demonstration work at Buffalo Springs WMA caught the attention of Quail Forever, and TWRA was awarded a $5,000 grant to help with habitat work there. An innovative project that Scott started in Region 4 is the dermestid beetle colony. This project began as an efficient and cost-effective way to clean skeletal material for voucher specimens. However, Scott recognized the opportunity to help each law enforcement area create or refurbish their educational bone box. These boxes typically consist of skulls, antlers, and other osteological material, usually purchased from a commercial source. Scott began gathering roadkills, adjudicated evidence, and other surplus animals, cleaning the carcasses, then redistributing them back to the wildlife officers to be used in educational programs throughout the region, and often throughout the state. Another positive spin-off of this project is being able to clean a skull or carcass within a few days of evidence collection and recover bullets and prove guilt in court cases. So what began as a biological data collection need has taken a path to help law enforcement and our information and education outreach save lots of money. Scott is a model professional wildlife biologist, has splendid behavior, competent, polite, committed to a positive outcome. He never shirks a task and will work in all weather conditions. Scott's contribution to TWRA and the wildlife resources of our state is exceptional and deserves statewide and regional recognition. And I'll have you know, I skipped every other paragraph from what Pete wrote. So. The 2011 Biologist of the Year Award will go to Scott Dykes. And last but not least, the 2012 Wildlife Biologist of the Year Award. The winner is Dr. Gray Anderson. A Hohenwald, Tennessee native, Gray Anderson received his bachelor's and then master's degree from Tennessee Technological University in the early to mid-90s. From there, he began chasing his doctoral degree at Southern Illinois University by chasing wood ducks, and in 2010, Gray officially became Dr. Gray Anderson. As you can tell, I intentionally left off start dates because whereas most PhD students have a 2 or maybe even a 4-year plan, Gray opted for the 14-year doctoral plan. In fact, I believe he's the only student that ever qualified for tenure while at Southern Illinois University. Now, in all seriousness, we kid Gray all the time, but Gray truly is the brains behind the Wildlife Division. He's an incredibly intelligent person. Gray began working for the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency in March of 2004 as a program coordinator for the newly formed Landowner Incentives Program. Gray was responsible for developing and managing a program which directed millions of federal dollars to Tennessee landowners for putting in wildlife-friendly practices. From there, Gray was promoted to the Wild Turkey Program Coordinator position. And while in that position, Gray simplified the turkey brood survey to make the turkey data much more accurate and useful for the agency. Those efforts actually resulted in a paper being published in the proceedings of the 10th National Wild Turkey Symposium. As if turkeys weren't enough, Gray helped develop the population surveys for both white-tailed deer and elk in Tennessee. The new population estimates for white-tailed deer using distance sampling and thermal imaging equipment are now considered for statewide management, while the population estimates for elk, which uses the Bowden estimator, that's one of those nerdy things that Gray's probably the only one that understands. Those help justify the elk hunting seasons for a highly visible yet uncommon big game species. As you can see, it is no wonder why Gray was promoted to the assistant chief position, where he has full control over all species management in Tennessee. But here's the reason why Dr. Anderson is receiving the 2012 Biologist of the Year award. In spring of 2011, the agency was given the unexpected task of completely revising their wild hog management program. Due to outside forces, TWRA was challenged with taking a long-time game animal, hogs, and making them a nuisance species. In order to do this, a multifaceted approach had to be developed that dealt with many aspects such a change would require. This included, but was not limited to, regulation changes in both TCA and proclamation, development of a multi-agency coalition, public outreach, as well as multiple administrative changes. As complicated and daunting as this task was, Gray Anderson, the then Wild Hog Program Coordinator, oversaw almost every aspect of implementing this new approach. Though sometimes controversial and ripe with potential stumbling blocks, Gray worked tirelessly and managed to put together a program that is now being viewed by other states as a progressive management strategy and is being considered by numerous other states that are facing similar wild hog problems that Tennessee has faced. Besides assisting with all the legal aspects of making hogs a nuisance or non-protected species, as we call them, Gray also coordinated the efforts to get key wildlife and agricultural interests on board by signing a wild hog MOU, declaring that hogs are more or less the root of all evil. At the time of this nomination, there are over 20 national or statewide organizations that have committed to fighting the spread of wild hogs in Tennessee. Considering all the new management strategies currently employed by TWRA that Gray has had a hand in developing, it's very easy to recognize Dr. Gray Anderson as a 2012 Biologist of the Year recipient. Gray Anderson. Y'all can come on up now. I just wanted to thank the commission for allowing us to recognize these individuals. They truly are the heartbeat of the agency.
Mr. Chairman, real quick, yesterday I was talking about the Dove Fields and the pride we had in Region 4. Scott was the guy I took the tour with, and I wish you could have been with me because he had a map of the different types of plantings that they were experimenting with, and he really has done a heck of a job. In spite of Pete and his cohorts, he's really done a heck of a job up there, so.
I'm sure I could have been with you if I'd have been invited.
Yes, Commission, in case you were wondering and for your information, we're going to acknowledge the 2012 Fisheries Biologist of the Year and Fisheries Technician of the Year at next month's meeting where we do the fishing regulations voting. So just want to let you know that.
Okay, thank you. Well, congratulations to all you gentlemen. This was a great accomplishment. The agency's very fortunate to have you with us, and the commission's very proud of the work that you've done. Appreciate your efforts. Is there anything else, Commissioner Teague, with the wildlife?
Does anyone on the commission have any comments? That concludes the business of the Wildlife Management Committee. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. All right, we will go next to the Budget Committee, Commissioner Schuster, and we'll just combine the committee matters with the meeting today.
Correct. Thank you, Chairman Brown. The commission recognizes Todd St. John, Region 2 Fisheries Program Coordinator.
Thank you, Commissioners. I would like to ask for your consideration to expand the current budget by $25,000. These dollars would be used to purchase a courtesy dock at Morris Ferry Ramp on Woods Reservoir. They're all federal dollars, and they're routed to us by the Department of Defense, Air Force at Arnold Engineering Development Center. So I guess the Air Force owns the reservoir. We manage the fishery and operate a WMA on the area. So.
Thank you, Todd. Chairman Brown, the Budget Committee and I recommend passage of proposed budget expansion, ADA compliant courtesy dock at Morris Ferry Boat Ramp on Woods Reservoir.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The motion carries.
The commission recognizes Director Ed Carter.
Thank you, Commissioner Schuster. Also asking for a consideration of a budget expansion in the amount of $250,000. All of that also would be federal funds through the Pittman-Robertson Act to administered back through the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. It's for a purchase of a piece of property called the Branton Tract, 163 acres in Jackson County. It comes to us through the Parks and Greenways Foundation, who is the owner at this particular time. They've asked, or consideration for sale is 50 cents on the dollar, so we're getting the property at 1/2 the appraised value, and therefore we won't have to make any state match, so the $250,000 that we're asking for would be for the purchase of the property and all the fees that go with that, including the survey part of that. With a little luck, pretty soon we'll be gaining another similar piece of property by the same owners on the other side of the Roaring Fork River. When we have those two together, it'll give us access for about a mile of property down through the Roaring Fork, and will take us all the way down to the Boyles, another TWRA area down in that area. So it's a wildlife management area, it's also a river section, it's also a float trip. So it combines all three of the programs within the agency.
Great. Thank you, Director Carter. Chairman Brown, the Budget Committee and I recommend passage of proposed budget expansion, Branton property in Jackson County, Blackburn Creek.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
Thank you.
All right, motion
Thank
carries.
you. The commission recognizes Gordon Martin, Real Estate Specialist of the Engineering Division.
Thank you, Commissioner Schuster. I'd like to give you an update on the active real estate transactions in Anderson and Scott County We are processing 2 additional gas wells for Knox Energy in the Milton Hill Reservoir. We're getting a tract of land from a Corps of Engineers. This transaction has been going on for quite some time, but it's finally been completed. In Dyer County, we have 5 tracts that are in the appraisals have been completed on those tracts, and the appraisal review is in process. In Giles County, we have completed the John Green tract. This is a .27 acre tract being acquired to allow the construction of a roadway to a park and launch area under the Highway 64 bridge at Richland Creek. Let's see, next we have in Lauderdale County at Anderson Tully Drivers Bar. We have an easement that's being conveyed to Turkey Lake LLC. This appraisal has been completed and the review is in process for the consideration of that easement. In Meigs County, Hiwassee Refuge, we have 68 acres that the state is being acquired with the assistance of the Land Trust of Tennessee. This transaction has had the funds transferred to the closing agent to close the transaction, and it should be closed in a couple of weeks. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them for you.
Any questions? Thank you, Gordon.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Commissioner.
it. The commission recognizes Ken Tarkington, Chief Administrative Services.
Thank you, Chairman Schuster. There's a one-page front and back financial report in your book. I'm reporting through the month of August, and for the commissioners that were here last fiscal year, probably remember this, but for the new ones, I will mention it very briefly. On a monthly basis, traditionally, I present a financial report on the 4 basic funds that we have, the boating, wildlife boating, and the 2 wetlands accounts. What I do is I report the way finance and administration accounts has logged the expenses and logged the revenue. Through a timing difference, the amount of deposits don't always coincide with the amount of funds that are in the reserve or funds that have been deposited in that particular month. And thus is the case through the month of August. What I'm reporting to you on the boating fund at the top of the page, or the first page, is that we're 90% behind in collections versus where we were at this point last year. We are actually behind, but we're only behind approximately 42%. The reason there's a $262,000 deposit that has not been transferred from wildlife to boating. All of the ACHs, if you remember my discussion yesterday, those direct deposits or sweeps that come from our license agents go into the wildlife fund first. We need to pull out then the boating amount that's for the boating fund and put it in boating. That has been done, but from the timing effort, Finance and Administration had not picked it up as of August. So while we are behind in collections, we're not behind nearly to the extent that that this report shows. And as you can see, the majority of our income in boating would be received in May and June anyway. So in that the reserve or that the funds deposited are down, I would not say it's cause for concern at this point. I would much rather it be higher, but as the year goes on, we could very definitely come back up in our reserve. Both in boating and wildlife, through the heat of the summer and the low water levels, I think that's made a difference in both the boat registrations sold and perhaps the fishing licenses sold also. The expenses for the boating fund through the month of August totaled a little over 12% of the allotment. In the middle of the page on the wildlife account, it shows that we're 8.1% above where we should be, and if we account for that $265,000 deposit, it puts us about 0%. So we're about even in our wildlife fund. The expenses for wildlife, through August, we're approximately 12.2% of the allotment there also. On the two endowment accounts at the bottom of the page, the Watchable Wildlife endowment, we have available $28,000 for funding watchable projects. And the Lifetime Sportsman, we have approximately $32,668,000 as a balance. On the second page at the top, the wetlands acquisition, that's the purchase account for the wetlands and wetlands property. We have approximately $7.6 million. And the maintenance is part of the acquisition, but we zero that account out each month. For instance, whatever has been spent in maintenance, we show that that was transferred from the acquisition to zero that amount out. So it's zero, and we'll continue to show that, but you can see the activity in there. And that maintenance is what the effort that the agency puts into maintaining those properties throughout the year or throughout the month as it's recorded. At the bottom of the page, the compensation, that's the in lieu of tax, where we pay the counties in lieu of tax payments. And thus far, that account has $373,000, and we won't see any expenses other than $1 here or $1 there for the accounting system that we're charged until we get down later in the fiscal year, probably in the May or June timeframe, when those in lieu of tax payments are certified by the Comptroller's Office, and we actually pay those. Any questions or comments?
Any questions?
I got a question. Refresh my memory, the maintenance on the properties purchased with the wetlands, that can include not only salaries, but
Gravel,
pumps,
material,
equipment
True.
necessary to maintain levees and that kind of thing.
True. That's correct.
Anyone else? Thank you, Ken.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Chairman Brown, that completes all the business from the Budget Committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other matters to come before the commission at this time? Make an announcement. We mentioned yesterday about the Nature Conservancy requesting that the commission or any and all members that could attend. I talked to the lady last night at that gathering. The float trip's going to be on the 18th of October, and any time from 10 or 11 in the morning to gather, and about a 3.5 hour float trip, and they will have lunch. And the purpose of this trip, of course, is for them to show some of the projects they've been working on and projects that they intend to work on in the future. Director Carter, help me out again. The lady said that we'd meet at, is it Lillard Mills or something Mill near Columbia? Yes. Okay, we'll get the specifics to anyone, all of you, everybody that can go. Would love to have you and get some directions. That is a agency facility where they be putting in with canoes or kayaks, whatever your preference is at that time. So hopefully as many of the commission can attend, will attend. The other thing I think we need to talk about, and we'll probably set the date for the November or December meeting, probably will not be both months, but we'll set that next month at the Reelfoot meeting, and also so you can everyone can kind of be planning for the future. As you know, this is a new commission. The legislature has 60 days to confirm the commissioners that have been appointed, and so we will meet in January and February. We will meet on a Wednesday and Thursday instead of Thursday and Friday, because that legislature is not in session on Friday. And there may be someday, we don't know when we're gonna have to be there for sure. And I'm not sure, Nat, do you have any idea how much notice we may get?
Hopefully by the second week in January, we'll have a notice, but more than what, the committees will meet on Tuesday and Wednesday. They will not meet on Thursday. So
Okay.
It will come either on a Tuesday or a Wednesday.
All right.
So,
Well,
I would-
and we can talk about that and look at what may be the best dates for January and February, and probably let that be known at the meeting next month.
As far as we can, but until they get back and have their organizational session, it won't be set exactly. So
Okay, okay.
It will, that meeting will have to be somewhat played by ear.
All right, so we just really need to look at setting our meeting Wednesday and Thursday, but know that we may be called on to be there on a Tuesday.
That's correct, sir.
Okay, so everybody keep that in mind. I hope we can be as flexible as is necessary to get this accomplished during that period of time. Any comments?
Why are we not going ahead and set our November meeting? Is there a problem with going ahead and setting it?
We may not need a November
Oh,
meeting.
I got
Yeah.
I
Last
thought we'd
year-
already set that at first weekend,
Excuse me?
I thought we'd already set that for first weekend in December.
We had it written down the
6th and
29th of
7th.
November is what we had.
Or did we?
We had the 29th of November is what we had written down if we needed it.
Okay, well, it can stay at that if we
Yeah, that's
need
right,
it.
okay.
I'm not sure.
That would represent the November and December. meeting,
Right.
wouldn't it? I think that was all.
Okay. I'm glad y'all are here. So we're gonna leave it then, is it the 29th? Let's
That's
see
what
the
we said,
calendar.
though, I think.
29th and 30th,
Was it a Friday, a 29th of Friday, or?
that's a Thursday, so it,
Can we have it the 30th then, or we're gonna do it one day?
Trey, is that not the weekend of month or gun season anymore?
No.
We have to set it now.
Gun season in Illinois is the weekend.
Oh, hell no, I'm sorry.
Thanksgiving, and we can have it.
I'm sorry.
I thought this was decent.
I did too.
thought this was what?
I'm just kidding.
Well, all right, it's tentatively set for the 29th or the 30th or both days. We'll have a better idea next month whether we're gonna need both days, or even one of those days, I think. If we don't have to have it, we won't.
If we do it one day, can we do it on Friday? Is that a problem? Do it on the 30th? All right, that's fine.
All right. No
Some
fighting,
of us-
no fighting children. We'll let you discuss that later.
Judge Brown,
All right,
yes,
yes, sir.
some of us may have conflicts on that Friday traveling for waterfowl season, so earlier in the week would probably be better.
You talking about in November?
Yes.
Okay, all right, we'll look at that. Okay, is there anything further? If there's nothing further, then we'll be adjourned. The next meeting will be at Reelfoot Lake, and that is the 25th and 26th? Yeah, October 25th and 26th, Reelfoot Lake. Meeting's adjourned.